Hello everyone, and welcome to Paris, France. We are going to be here for a few vlogs, both tourism and shopping, showing you everything that we do, that we see, that we eat, that we buy. We get to see so many other wonderful YouTubers here, and I'm just very grateful to get to be here and to get to be with my friends, and I look forward to sharing it with you. And like all good travel vlogs, we have to start out at the airport, so we fly out of Nashville. And because this was an international flight, we decided to do Delta One, which got us access to the Sky Club. They do have little goodie bags for dog passengers who were flying. And I honestly found the Nashville Sky Lounge to be really beautiful. They had a lot of private spaces that you could reserve if you were working, having a conference call. They had lots of food options, and all the food that we tried was really tasty. We had eaten lunch before we got here, so this was more like snack time for us, but it was still really, really good food. They constantly had people checking to make sure that everything was staying fresh and everything was staying filled. And like I said, it actually was really tasty. They also, in the drinks machine, had Pib Extra, which is definitely the superior soda. And you can see some of my little snack foods that I have here, and then massive, giant windows looking out into the airport. This is just my little outfit of the day for traveling. And then we landed in Detroit, which had this really beautiful fountain in the Delta terminal. And we checked out the first Sky Lounge that we came to, and it was super crowded, super tiny, terrible food, basically nowhere to sit, just really horrible experience compared to the one that we had just seen in Nashville. But what we did not realize is that if you continued walking down the terminal, you would come to two massive two-story Delta Sky Lounges. So that is what you are going to see here now, is one of those two-story Sky Lounges. Again, very crowded. There were a lot of people who were in these Delta Sky Lounges, and the food offering honestly didn't look as good as what was offered in Nashville. That being said, there were a lot of people that were coming through here, and everything was being kept very, very clean, which was sort of impressive, again, given how many people that there were. I was shocked at how crowded the area was. This also has an indoor tram in the terminal, and that is how big that the airport is. There is actually a tram that runs through it. Now, we did walk most of the length of the terminal just because we were trying to walk before an 8-hour overnight flight, but I did see quite a lot of people who were taking the tram. And then here we are about to board the international portion of our flight, and let me show you the cabin. There was lots of space in this cabin because these seats do fully recline. Blake and I were on opposite sides of the wall, but they give you a really nice blanket, slippers, a little toiletry kit that you'll see here from Mazzoni. And in here were some socks, a sleep mask, earplugs, earphones, pen, toothbrush, toothpaste, some lotion. So they did give you quite a bit. And then these were the different options for the food. And what was interesting to me about this is that there were some additional options that if you picked your order over 24 hours in advance, you could get. I chose one of those options. And while we were settling in, I went ahead and started watching Wicked because I had not seen it since I saw it in theaters last November. Blake chose the pasta option, which he said was actually really good. Like I said, I went with one of these specialty options, so I got the salmon. The salmon itself with the mustard sauce that it came with was really, really good. The potatoes were very hot, so I nearly burned my mouth there, but they just didn't have much flavor, in all honesty. But like I said, the salmon was actually really good itself, so that quite surprised me. And then for dessert, Blake and I both went with the ice cream sundae with the Biscoff cookies and chocolate sauce and whipped cream, and that was tasty. I will say I was very impressed with how hard that ice cream was. I had to let it sit there a minute before I could actually get my spoon into it. Once we landed in Paris, we dropped our bags at the hotel and then just started walking. We found this artisan bakery, which boulangerie is for a bakery. If it is an artisan bakery in Paris, they have a higher standard that they have to adhere to, and that is what this one was. So it's higher both in terms of quality and in terms of cleanliness, is my understanding. And we just started walking around. We found this beautiful park that we sat in and just really enjoyed the fountain and the calmness. And that was really nice after having been through multiple airports. And while we were sitting here, realized that Polene was right there on the corner, and I had never seen their bags in person. I was not impressed with the quality of the leather given what all I had heard. Blake was not impressed with the quality of construction. We both found the bags to be sort of lacking when compared to Strathberry. And that's sort of like our tier for modern luxuries, that we compare it to Strathberry. We feel like it's up to par. We were not impressed with Polene. Did not pick anything up from here. Kept walking. This is part of the National Library. And again, continued walking and found a very beautiful park garden that is going to be through here. I know it has a specific name. This is also where they filmed some scenes for Mission Impossible. I just cannot for the life of me remember what the name of this park was, because like I said, we just kind of stumbled until we found it. And then we just started walking through it, and it had lots of beautiful, more natural, floral looking gardens, and so it wasn't as manicured as a lot of the parks that we would see in the US are, but I found it to be just so beautiful. Massive giant fountain, and very importantly, there was an ice cream truck there. And while for us it was very comfortable, it was in the 70s, having that ice cream was a really nice little pick-me-up. And again, more of the beautiful gardens before we walked into what we know is a very important plaza. We just aren't entirely sure exactly what this area is called or what it is used for. We must have just missed Leslie as well, because she was walking around in this area at the time. Just really beautiful church. Of course, we're here at Vendôme. You have the Tower to Napoleon. Again, really must have just missed Leslie somehow, because she was right around here in the same time. But we were walking back to the hotel because our room was finally ready. So we walk in, here's the room. We went one step above the lowest level, so slightly, I believe it's called the deluxe or the superior room. Beautiful, beautiful bedding. Lovely chair, a desk. And then in here we have the shower. Again, beautifully clean. We actually have a soaking tub in our room. Very large vanity area. Coming through here then, you have a separate toilet, which I personally really appreciate. And you have the closet space to set things, as well as your safe. Lots of mirrors everywhere. The hanging closet. And then also they let us know that everything that's in the mini fridge is free. And here is the view out of our window. You can see the Ferris wheel over there. After we went to our room, we showered, we changed clothes, and then again, just started walking. We found this store called Hackett, which I had seen on Instagram and was very excited to take Blake into, because Blake really needs a suit that fits. And so I was super, super impressed just with all the different things he was trying on. Everything looked really, really nice on him, but we had been traveling. Blake did not sleep at all on the plane, and so he wasn't ready to make any purchases. But I realized where I had seen this brand before, and that's because Carlos Sainz did a campaign with them earlier this year, and Blake was pretty excited to see that this is a brand that his driver works with, as he is a big Carlos Sainz fan. And an absolutely beautiful and very, very large store. It is their European headquarters. And so this is where the biggest store in Europe is, even though it is a British brand. The UK is no longer considered a part of Europe in terms of shopping districts. And then here we have the Paris Opera House, and we just kept wandering and found these beautiful side streets and courtyards, and it was so calm and peaceful compared to all the traffic that was out on the main roads that we just loved wandering around the streets. And we were honestly just trying to kill time to stay awake because both of us were pretty tired. And this is a brand, Tanneur, and it's a brand that I had heard of as being a pretty popular French modern brand. And I was much more impressed with this brand than I was with Polene. And I thought the leather was a better quality. I thought the construction was a better quality. They had some really interesting bags. Nothing that made it up into my high priority list. You can also make a few small leather goods and bags there on site, and they only offer certain leather colors at that site. And then we also went to Faure Le Page, which is right beside the hotel. And the girl who was working with us was so incredibly nice and helpful. She had me trying on like every single bag in the store. We also went back a little while later with the handbag tribe. And so you'll see some footage from both of those days in here because I wanted to talk about Faure Le Page all at once. The vertical battle tote that you saw was one of my absolute favorite bags that I tried on. This is the Express 21, which I've looked at a lot, but I was not thrilled with the very thick strap. Now the cartoucherie, I think is how you say it, bag is right here. Very, very cute bag. And you're seeing me try it on the navy, and then you'll see me try it on in the maroon. And I really like this bag. It's very comparable in size to my little mini Celine bag. And it has this gun-shaped mirror on the back, which calls back to their heritage as gun makers. There's a cartoucherie bag is also what people would put their cartridges in, so it's also a bag style that harkens back to their heritage. Their embroidery, as well as their canvas, are both incredible quality. I really preferred the smaller embroidery print. I thought it looked like it was done much more finely, but the canvas was incredibly thick, incredibly great quality. The leather, their straps and details that were on the bag felt amazing. This is their little vanity case, which comes with a little gun-shaped mirror as well. This new style bag was out, and you can actually wear this 3 to 4 ways, depending on how you look at it. As a backpack, which you see here, you can wear it with the strap as a longer shoulder strap or as a cross-body strap, and you can carry it top handle. I was super impressed, but also the detailing, the way that they did the head as the button, I thought was really neat. This is the Parade 19. This is the smaller one, and then you'll see me trying on the larger one in a minute. And I really liked this bag. I preferred the larger size because the small was just a little bit too small for me. I will say though, this bag looked amazing on Deb. So when I saw her trying on this bag, it was so much more of a Deb bag than it was a me bag, but I did really, really like it. So it's a contender for a future purchase. But again, just really amazing quality bags. And I tried on like every single style that they had. My favorites were definitely the cartouche, the Parade, and the vertical battle tote. The regular battle tote I wasn't as thrilled with just because it was a little bit more of a stiff tote bag. Blake and I then had dinner at the hotel restaurant. He had bolognese, I had chicken supreme. Both were extremely delicious. And then we crashed out for the night. The next day, before meeting up with some members of the handbag tribe, I went to breakfast in the courtyard. The food itself, not good for breakfast. I do not recommend them for breakfast, but the ambiance was very nice. Then we were planning to go to Goyard. The first day that we were there, Blake and I had stopped into the dog store, which is the smaller store across from the main one, and Blake just hit it off with the SA, so she actually made us an appointment for the main store where there are no appointments. We ran into Blake's cousin there by happenstance. She and her husband were also in Paris at this time. But the SA was so nice, so sweet, so wonderful that we didn't have to wait in line at all at Goyard. We got to skip the line, go straight in for our appointment. And after our appointment, wandered around, found lunch, met up with Steph and Nick, who you saw there, and then you see Claire and Deb as well. and just had some really good lunch, a beautiful scenery. Next, Blake and I stumbled into a pet store. They had Barber, they had Carhartt, they had those super cute little croissants and baguette toys for dogs, which my dogs absolutely love because we did bring them home a little croissant toy. And it was just a really cute shop. We then went underneath the Louvre, where I didn't realize there were so many stores, and I did a little bit of shopping in VIVAIA. I do have a partnership video with them coming up where I will show you guys everything in that store. Super, super busy, but I'm not gonna put that footage here so that you can see it in one of my future vlogs. But it was really neat to go under the Louvre, and while we were there, we also went into Louvre and got ourselves some macarons because they do macaroons better than anyone. And then had to take the obligatory selfie in front of the Louvre. And then we just started walking through these gardens, and they have this beautiful, stunning arch here, which is commemorating Napoleon. At the other end of the Champs-Elysees is the Arc de Triomphe, which you can actually see from certain vantage points at the Louvre, but just the beauty that was crafted in this arch. You can see the Eiffel Tower in the background. You can just barely make out the Arc de Triomphe there. They have a fair that is set up in the garden during this time of year, and then of course you have the massive Louvre building, which was initially the palace, and then Louis XIV moved it to Versailles because apparently the Louvre was not big enough for him. It was interesting walking past the carnival, but we had no interest in doing carnival rides. And then we went on to the Sèvres store for Hermes. And then as we started making our way back towards the hotel, Blake found a Dungeons and Dragons shop that he wanted to look in at Warhammer modeling and Dungeons and Dragons things. We kept seeing just winding down beautiful streets, amazing architecture. We found this little baby shop that had these gorgeous exposed wood beams, super cute chandelier. It was very hot in this shop though, because there were no air conditioning, but they did have a lot of really cute things for little ones. And so it's a great way to pick up a little Paris souvenir for a baby in your life. And our final destination was going to Notre Dame. However, the line to get in was massively long. We could not see the end of the line, it was so long. And so we decided to try to go into Notre Dame on a different day, which we do eventually do. And then just started wandering along the Seine River as we made our way back to the hotel, stopped in at a little bakery here beside the Louvre and had some pastries.
With beeswax, and vanilla. It's got a custard-like interior, you see? Mm-hmm. Might not look all that good on camera. Boy, does it smell good. Pretty good. You want some?
I'm good. And then finished off this night and this vlog with some French fries from room service from the hotel. So see you in the next one.